I'm Z, your resident geek, here to try new things so you don't have to. And today, I have a little review for you. In the last few weeks, I've been playing as much as I can with The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature. The pack came out on July 10th, and I've been playing and building with it here on YouTube and on my Twitch channel. Today, I'll share my thoughts about Create a Sim, build and buy, the occult type fairies, and the gameplay they came with, and the pack's general gameplay. Now, without further ado, let's get into the review. So first I want to talk about Create a Sim, and I'm going to put a little disclaimer right here. I am not a big cast person. I do use it, yes, in my daily gameplay, but I don't have a lot of opinions, and I don't share like people will say, oh, this is printed on and stuff. This is stuff that I don't care about, so I'm very sorry if I say something that did bother you. Let me say that now, but in my script, the cast portion is the longest bit that I wrote. I'm going to read you a list of all the cast items that we got from male and female framed Sims in all the age groups. We got 11 hairstyles, 3 earrings, the clover we got separately for both ears, meaning you could only wear one, 3 necklaces, 8 headpieces, 2 teeth, 5 face paints, 1 mask, 2 beards, 1 eyeshadow, 24 tattoos, 3 body paints, which are only for children, 26 fairy wings, 6 pair of shoes, 20 tops, 9 bottoms, 22 full body outfits, and 5 accessories. This brings a total of 151 items, and this does not count every single swatch that we got. I tried very hard not to count any items twice, but some of the items are available for male and female framed Sims. The same goes for some hairstyles and shoes, so I did my best, but please do not take my word for it. First of all, I think the tagging in the game needs some major improvement. They did tag some of the cast items for male framed Sims that could have worked for female framed Sims as well, but they're not available for female framed Sims unless you take out the tag. And something like this also happens in Build and Buy, but we'll get to it later. There's some items that particularly stood out to me that I'm going to make my Sims wear a lot. One would be the hoodie for the male framed Sims. There's some solid swatches, but there's also some with the most gorgeous flowers and one with a pastel rainbow, and I really loved that. I also love the shirt for the male framed Sims that has a little breast pocket and flowers coming out of it. In the different swatches, the flowers do change a little bit, and I did love that so much. For female framed Sims, I really loved the full body outfits. One of the jumpsuits has this transparent front that is covered in flowers or leaves and a plain top beneath. I likely use that one for everyday or hot weather outfits. The other one that I loved is this dress that looks like wings wrapped around the Sim. It gives Barbie Mariposa, and I'm here for it. The pink swatch really says Barbie, but the blues and greens are just as beautiful. Kids have a t-shirt with little wings attached to it that I really loved, and I think it was toddlers that have a full body outfit that has wings attached to it, and I was gushing over it so much. I think infants still lacked a little bit when it comes to cast. We didn't get any hairstyles, for example, but we got a hat and a few full body outfits, and at this point I'll take anything I can get for infants to wear. Still, I do wish they'd give us more cast items for infants, ideally in the base game, since the base game is also lacking, and if you don't have any packs, you basically don't have anything cute for your infants to wear. That being said, we're gonna move on to the tattoos, because we got so many tattoos with this pack. Originally, I had counted 16, but when I created my first fairy sim, I found even more tattoos, which got a total up to 24. We will get to the fairy stuff in a moment. The tattoos for normies are different. There's line art tattoos that you can put all over their bodies, on their arms, their legs, stomach, face. It looks really good. There's one little boulder tattoo for their upper arms. There's also a few more whimsical tattoos, such as a freezer bunny, some flowers, and even a rose tattoo on your face. Before the pack got released, we got a base game update that added headpieces to the categories, and it came with a bow in the base game. In the pack, we got different kinds of things, like 2 crowns, 2 types of horns, and a headband. The horns are the most amazing thing you could put on your fairies, and for some reason, it just makes fairies even more real to me. Now for the best thing we got in Create a Sim, the fairies. The cast is pretty much the exact same as it is for the normie Sims. What's different are the wings and some extra skin tones and tattoos. For our fairies, we got 26 different wings, and they're all unique. Some of them come in two sizes, one big and one small, and some are larger wings, and then some are smaller, like the one of a dragonfly, for example. The variety in the wings is honestly the best thing they could have done for us. There's different swatches for each one of them, and they're all different. Plus, you can change the colors of each section of the wings. There's 5 sections you can either randomize or pick select colors from. What's even better is you can fully customize your wings. There's a paint option that has a color wheel in it, with which you can fully paint the wings any way you want them to be. It's similar to how you can paint tattoos on your Sims or paint cats, dogs, or horses. There's different types of brushes which you can resize and rotate to paint with, or you can use different stamps. With only the base game and Enchanted by Nature, there's not that many stamps. But if you have businesses and hobbies, for example, you also have all the stamps available we got for tattoos. In conclusion, you can fully customize the wings of your Sims, which is probably the most amazing thing ever. I haven't taken a look at it, but there's so many creative Simmers out there, and surely there's so many gorgeous custom wings in the gallery that people spend time on drawing and customizing. Now to the tattoos that I mentioned before. There's extra tattoos we've gotten with fairies that are the same line art tattoo we got for the normies, except these glow. So if your Sim reveals their fairy form, their tattoos will be glowing. On top of that, we also did get the same tattoos we got for normies for fairies. The glowing tattoos on a fairy Sim are so incredibly gorgeous. It is insane. We also got some extra skin tones that I mentioned before for fairy Sims. There's greens, blues, purples, pinks, grays, blacks, and whites. It's really awesome. You can make your fairy form look entirely different from their human form. For example, I made a gray fairy Sim and had her wear all black, gave her some horns, and ended up giving her the glowing tattoos for her fairy form. The tattoos were in white, and it ended up looking so amazing. Something that I haven't mentioned a lot yet were the swatches of all the cast items. They're all available in the same or very similar swatches. Some of the tops and bottoms that could create a full body outfit have the exact same swatches. The entire pack actually consists of the same few swatches. There's a bright blue, a dark blue, a green, a purple, a black, a white, and some more. Each of them comes with an accent. The dark purple often gets paired with a dark green or black. The bright blue is paired with a pink in almost every single item. The dark blue is usually paired either with black or a golden color, and so is the green. The black and whites usually are just solid swatches, which I really love that they added. As for traits, we got mystical, plant lover, and disruptive. Mystical Sims feel a strong affinity for both the natural and the supernatural, and they see higher purpose in living harmoniously with each world and sharing that with other Sims. These Sims learn the apothecary and gardening skill faster and have an easier time building friendships with occult Sims. Plant lover Sims treat each and every plant like the little Sim they are. Being a friend to plants is not always easy on a plant lover's emotions, but luckily these Sims don't need any skills to share their special interests, just a big heart. Disruptive Sims are driven to interact with the world by messing with it. They can spread interpersonal chaos by giving bad balance advice, or stick it to nature by disrupting plants. Disruptive Sims build mischief skill faster but are slower to regain balance than most Sims. Okay, we have talked a lot about Create a Sim now, and I think we covered everything, so we can move on to build and buy. Now this is more my area, so let's see if I can give you better opinions to this than to Create a Sim. Once again, I'm going to read down a list of all the items that we got in this pack. In total, we got 162 build and buy items. 60 out of those are found in the build category. This includes doors, windows, spandrels, flooring, wallpaper, stairs, roofing, roof decor, and archways. 102 out of those items are buy items. There is a kitchen set, dining table, desk, 2 fireplaces, a few gnomes, rugs, beds for almost all age groups, and more, and we'll get into the details in a moment. This is a little disclaimer. I'm probably about to get very angry. The first thing I want to talk about is the tagging of the game and the landscaping. If you've seen my streams, you already know how angry I am at The Sims. I'm extremely upset and disappointed in both the tagging in the pack and the landscaping. This is the nature pack. They literally have it in the name, and all we got is 2 pieces of landscaping It was really, really upsetting. And on top of that, they aren't even in the landscaping category. They're in the roof decor category, and I really, really hope they at least fix the tagging of the items. And we also got these wisteria items so you could make your house look overgrown, and they're similar to the wisteria that we got in Cottage Living. They're just not locked behind the debug cheats this time, which is great, but then once again the tagging is absolutely terrible. They're in the wall decor category, but not the outside wall decor. They put them on the inside wall decor category. Now, I don't know about you, but I personally don't just put wisteria on the inside of my house. Then they also made this curtain item that is made of leaves, which is gorgeous, but this one is under curtains. It is also under the wall decor category for the inside, and the tagging is off once again. What's even worse is there's the most beautiful landscaping items in this pack, but they're behind debug cheats. So every time I want to use any of those items, I have to use the debug cheats to unlock them. They have a low-line bush in there that is just plain green. There's these gorgeous bushes that I've been using everywhere, and even better, they're giant mushrooms that make the whole landscaping even more whimsical. As many things in debug, the mushrooms are enormous, but once you size them down, they look amazing. And honestly, not everyone knows what debug is, and not everyone uses debug. I'm a person that doesn't love using debug, and yet here we are. I have to use debug to get all of the pretty landscaping in the nature pack. As for the other items, they are all sort of whimsical and I think very specific. I haven't attempted not to build a cottage with the pack yet, simply because I feel like the pack is too specific about what kind of builds you can build with this pack. Some of the build items, like the roof patterns, wallpapers, and floorings, I think you could use on other builds. Maybe some of the doors and windows, but as for the buy items, I still feel like they're a little too specific. The swatches though are really beautiful, and while I was filming my first impressions video, I kept saying over and over again, once again we have the same swatches, because for the first time ever we actually got the same swatches for every single item. You could probably build a house entirely in the bright blue swatch and it would all be matching and all look perfectly fine. With the pack, we got an apothecary table, which stands out to me because it's part of the gameplay. You can use it sort of as a hobby, but you also need it for the naturopath career, which we'll get to later. They made a few items that are designed to be part of an apothecary office. There's a desk chair, an apothecary table, and a storage item. The coolest part is, about the apothecary table, you can actually put your ingredients in there and it stores them for you, so you don't have to carry them in your inventory. And then the storage item can hold all of your cures, which is awesome, so you can make them and just put them in there, and that just works out very fine for you. For more storage, we have a few bookshelves, 2 bigger ones and 1 small one. And I can't tell you how amazing it is to have a 1-tiled bookshelf that is rather beautiful, and I'm sure I'll find a way to use it in every single one of my builds. We didn't get a lot of fairy specific items in build and buy. The most specific item is a fairy home that comes in the pack. It's this tiny little house on a little side table, and normie sims can only use it to get fairy dust or talk to the fairy that is currently occupying the home. Fairies, on the other hand, can do a lot more with it, but we'll get to that later. Some of my favorite items are the canopy bed, the bathtub, the small bookshelf, the mushroom shelves, and the little acorn nightlight. The reason I love the canopy bed is because of the swatches, and it's got pretty flowers. It's very girly, and I just really love that about the bed. The only complaint I'd have is the bed is 1500 simoleons, and if you want to build a starter home with the pack, you just have to resort to a base game bed because the canopy bed is just too expensive. The bathtub I honestly mostly like because it's a corner tub, and we haven't gotten a corner tub in a very long time. It's got this kind of earthy vibe to it, which is really nice. If you choose to do a natural living challenge and at some point wanted a tub, I'd honestly see this one just being out in your lot without having a house or a building because it's made of stones. And with some building, you could probably even make it look like it's part of the environment. Bookshelf I already mentioned. I really like having a one-tiled bookshelf. It has a little bit of space for you to put clutter either on top or inside of the shelf, and the wooden texture is just really nice. I haven't used the mushroom shelves, but that's because I often forget about shelving because they're not sorted by room, but they're sorted by item. They look the same as the debug mushrooms I've mentioned, and honestly, I think once I start placing those in my builds, it'll be over for me. I have a feeling that I'll love placing those in my cottages and I will have them everywhere. Lastly, I mentioned the acorn nightlight, and that one I really love. It is so cute. It can be placed on all type of builds, and it's one of the very first items I've noticed about this pack. Back when the first trailer came out, I saw this nightlight on top of the one-tiled bookshelf and instantly loved it. I guess that's why it's got a special place in my heart. I've not only placed it in children's rooms, but I've also placed them in all sorts of bedrooms. And I wouldn't put it past me to put them in kitchens or bathrooms or even patio spaces. I'll probably start using the acorn nightlight the way I use candles in my builds. If you know me and my builds, then you know there will be candles everywhere. And now, the acorn nightlights as well. Alright, I think that's enough about build and buy. Let's talk about why we all got this pack. We have all been waiting for fairies for so long. I'm gonna talk about the fairies, creating them, how they work, what kind of interactions they come with, and the entire gameplay around them. Let's start with Kaz. Like all the other occults, you can pick the occult type in Kaz and you can edit their normal form as well as their fairy form. You can also have the normal form and the fairy form linked just like with every other occult. Once you have your fairy sim, you can give them their wings and dress them up as any other sim. As I already mentioned, we got 26 different wings for the fairies, and I'm still in awe with the variety in wings. Your fairy sim can have very customized wings. All wings can be drawn on with stamps and brushes and all the colors that you want since we got a color wheel for it, but you can also choose to have wingless fairies. This option I've included when counting the wings. As for the gameplay that surrounds the fairies, we got one aspiration specifically for the fairies. This aspiration is a little special. It has 2 levels to it, and once you're done with the first 2 levels, you get a pop-up where it asks you whether you want to be a harmonious fairy or a discordant fairy. Once you pick, it will show you a new aspiration pop-up that is linked to the first fairy aspiration. So what they did was add 2 more aspirations, one for the harmonious path and one for the discordant path. Still, after playing them through, they're very short and have only 1 additional level each. As a fairy, you can collect daily fairy dust in the Mossvale Fairy Hub. It's a rabbit hole in the neighborhood Everdew in Innisgreen, where your sim can also bathe, and I think it is all sims that can find out more about fairies in the neighborhood. I'm not entirely sure if this is like all sims can do this or only fairies can do this, but it is an option. They'll tell you about the history of Everdew and how to become a non-occult sim. Fairies got a skill tree just like werewolves, vampires, spellcasters, aliens, and ghosts did. There's 5 levels to it. Faint Fairy, Glowing Fairy, Glimmering Fairy, Brilliant Fairy, and finally the Radiant Fairy. And there's 4 different branches: Manipulation, Emotion, Nature, and Customization. Manipulation sounds bad, even though it isn't all bad, and it is red. It has an option where you can give your sim the ability to cure or apply ailment, or can read personal information of other sims, shift their own luck or another sim's luck, manipulate objects by setting them to clean, dirty, burnt, broken, repaired, or fresh. Gnomes can be brought to life for gardening, cleaning, repairs, or protection from evil. Lastly, they can age up another sim, and this one doesn't work on elderly sims. The emotion branch includes swaying another's emotions, bottle your own or another's emotions, project your own emotions on another sim, influence your relationships or the ones of other sims, and lastly, influence sentiments, either your own or the ones that other sims have with each other. The nature branch is exactly as it sounds. You can nurture nature and enchant plants, get a higher chance of finding duplicate harvestables, manifest rare seeds, sans harvestables, grow all plants around your sim to maturity, bloom a plant to readiness for harvest, and you can transform other sims into fairies. Customization is mostly about how the fairy influence is received by other sims. So you can pick mostly between good and bad. Warm force gain will, for example, give you a small amount of emotional force from friendly interactions, while wicked force gain gives you a small amount of emotional force from mischief socials. The same goes for malicious absorber and benevolent absorber. You can negate or embrace relationship changes. You can pick between spillover resistance or spillover sensitivity. The last thing you can pick between is expert, regeneration, or energetic dreamer. To become a fairy, what you need is a fairy seedling. You can obtain one by asking any fairy for a fairy seedling, and so far, every time I've asked, they actually gave me one. But you can also find them through foraging, and if you do all the fables, you get one as a reward. Once you plant it, Mother Nature will appear and you can talk to her about becoming a fairy. She will put a spell on you that lasts 24 hours in-game. To complete your transition, you just have to go to Moondrop Springs, which is right next to the lounge, to become a fairy. Your sim will go into the water, and Mother Nature will have assigned wings that will fit the sim and their personality. You can always go and change the wings and create a sim whenever you want. The interactions that I've seen are few and rather simple. You can always detect a sim's emotions no matter your fairy rank, and you can always absorb emotions. All other interactions need to be earned with the different fairy ranks and the skill tree. Everything I've mentioned before from the skill tree is also an interaction. So some fairies can break items, enchant and nurture plants, and they can sway emotions, sentiments, and apply or cure ailments. What I found out is that fairy sims can actually turn occult sims into non-occult sims. I did try that on Vlad when he came to my lot, and suddenly he was just a normal sim. And I bet that works with other occults as well. I think what's worth to take a note of is that if you have a fairy sim, their nature living skill goes up faster than when your sim is a normie. My teen sim had maxed the skill before they grew up into a young adult, while in my Rags to Riches video, it took my sim much longer. But there's not only fairies you can play with. Here's what other gameplay we got with this pack. If you don't want to play with fairies, don't worry, this pack has got you. You can play with two other aspirations, the Apothecary skill or the Nature Living skill. You can pick for your sim to be a nature nomad, which pairs very well with the natural living skill, or you can have an elixir enthusiast sim, that's the aspiration, and that one pairs really well with the apothecary skill. As a nature nomad, your sim wants to spend their life in the outdoors. They won't need a house to survive since they can forage, sleep on the ground, and bathe in ponds. They do need level 2 of the skill to summon a privy bush so that they can take care of their bathroom needs, but level 2 is super easily reached. All their survival skills are basically covered thanks to the new interactions that we got. The Nature Nomad aspiration has only got 2 levels to it. The first half you have to do simple things like catch a fish or forage for food 5 times, and then suddenly it jumps up to sleeping soundly on the ground, which requires level 5 of the Nature Living skill, or talk to nature 3 times with level 9 or higher. So what basically happens is the first level shows you how to work out the Nature Living skill, and then the second level requires level 9, and it kind of just jumps up, and honestly I did not enjoy that. The Elixir Enthusiast aspiration is a little bit deeper, I feel like, and it pairs perfectly with the naturopath career. The aspiration has 3 levels. In the first, you have to forage for apothecary ingredients or reach level 2 of the naturopath career. The second level requires level 4 of the naturopath career, and you have to detect emotions with the emotion stone, which you can craft once you reach level 6 of the apothecary skill. And for level 3 of the aspiration, you have to reach level 10 of the career and craft a holistic cure elixir, which also requires level 10 of the apothecary skill. I genuinely feel like this aspiration is harder to get through, and it takes a lot more work, which I honestly would have preferred so much for the other aspirations to have as well. Leveling up the apothecary skill is actually not that easy. As always, you can try reading the skill books or study apothecary cures on the apothecary table. Crafting the elixirs and cures also levels you up. I've been grinding it really hard, and it was really hard to get to level 10, and while that is a little bit annoying, I actually enjoyed that so much more. As for the naturopath career, there's actually 3 options for you to pick for every workday. Your sim can go to work or work from home in the same style as other careers. Then you can also pick for your sim to receive clients in your home. I have to admit, at first, I didn't fully understand how it works, but it works exactly like every other active career, except they're in your home lot. One sim will visit you, and they will have an ailment or something that makes them feel bad. I actually had sims come in twice claiming they've been bedridden and sad, which hit home a little bit too close, but they didn't have any ailment. you have to work through the steps on the top left of your screen to get paid. And all you do is basically determine what ailment that sim has. Once you figure it out, you can either craft the cure or if you have it in your inventory, you can just directly give that to the sim and they will be cured, and that's your workday. I've mentioned this before, but what I found out while playing this pack is if you play with the apothecary career and skill, your inventory will fill up so fast because of all the ingredients you need to create all the cures and elixirs. Don't worry, the Sims team has thought about that actually. The apothecary table is also a storage space where you can hold all the ingredients that you've foraged and received, and the apothecary shelves are storage spaces for all your cures. Once you have all the ingredients in your apothecary table, you will not have to pull any of the ingredients out again. You can just use the table as if everything was in your inventory. You can also buy ingredients through the apothecary table, which can be really useful if you're missing just one item, but it doesn't always have all the items that you might need. We actually got a few more new features in this pack: luck, balance, and ailments. And let's talk about luck first. Luck only affects you in Inner Screen. None of the other worlds have luck, and I think that's the best decision they could have done. I feel like the luck hasn't affected my gameplay all too bad, so I don't really have anything to say. But there's good luck, ordinary luck, and bad luck. Depending on your luck, your Sims will find better or worse forageable, or it can cause fires mostly. You can turn off the option when you go into game options and then into pack settings. You can disable the luck. I personally just never felt the need to do that. As for the balance in this game, it is one of the worst features in this pack. There's balanced, imbalanced, and very imbalanced, and if your sim is balanced, honestly, you even forget it's there. You even forget that it's an option. But once your sim gets imbalanced, or even worse, very imbalanced, it is an absolute nightmare. Their balance can go down when they get ailments, have negative moodlets, or their needs are not taken care of properly. And I'm telling you, suddenly your sim is very imbalanced. There will be a little pop-up about it, but that's about it. And when that happens, for as long as your sim is very imbalanced, there will be ailment upon ailment upon ailment. All you can do is take good care of your sim for the balance to go back up, and it does take some grinding. Luckily, you can turn off imbalance. That doesn't eliminate the ailments. I do have a lot to say about the ailments, and most important for me to say is I hate the ailments. I wish they didn't exist. They happen way too often. Fixing them is an absolute pain, and you can't even turn ailments off in pack settings. The ailments were a great idea, but exactly what I was afraid that would happen happened. But let's start from the beginning. Ailments are different sicknesses that can affect your Sims. There's 8 ailments: burning passion, simoleon fever, creation impulse, eeny meeny, sonic sinuses, gnome lore, luck magnet, and emotional void. They all cause your Sim's skin to look funny. For example, the emotional void ailment causes parts of your skin to look like stone. The burning passion ailment makes your Sim's hands and legs look like they have fire on them, and the rest of the skin turns kind of like a reddish purple. The ailments can come either from imbalance or from them being contagious. Or I think the third option you can get ailments from is when you forage, you have bad luck and you find something that is contagious. Thinking about it, that's not a third option, that's just the second option, but more detailed. Have the ailment cured, you either have to go to the apothecary townie, Todd, to have him help you. You will have to forage for the ingredients and deliver those to him, and he will give you the cure. Or you could click on your sim and go to naturopath for 1500 simoleons. That is the easier option, but also it is very annoying that it costs 1500 simoleons. If you're playing Rags to Riches, for example, and you just don't have the 1500 simoleons for a quick fix, you have to craft the cure. And that is something that I personally don't want. I want easy fixes. So in conclusion, the ailments happen way too often, and there's absolutely no easy fix for them. To me, they're annoying, and that's it. And as of recording this, the Sims team did make a little bit of a patch to it and fix them so they don't happen every day anymore, but every 3 days. In my opinion, that is still too much, and I really wish they would just add an option for me to turn them off so I just don't have to deal with them anymore. I think that would improve the game significantly, and the first thing I would do is turn them off in every single one of my saves. As annoying as they are, I think I talked enough about ailments, so let's move on. One of the other things that we got in this pack are the life houseplants. You can actually take care of them, and honestly, they die a little fast in my opinion. You have to take care of them. You have to click on them, and then there will be this option saying maintain houseplant, and you have to do that for every single one of them. Mine have been dying so fast every single time, and the only reason some of them lived was because I had fairies and they enchanted them the entire time. I still think the life houseplants are a very fun feature, but the Sims that have the plant lover trait that came with the pack will be really sad if they have to dispose the dead plants, but it's not really bothered me because the moodlet goes away really fast. What I think is also very important to note is when you go into game options and then pack settings, you're able to limit fairy Sims to Innisgreen. So if you don't want to be bothered with them, and if you don't want to take care with fairies or don't even want to see them, you can just limit them to Innisgreen, and then if you visit Innisgreen there will be fairies, but everywhere else there won't be. And I'm actually kind of glad they added this option too, because not everyone wants to deal with fairies. The reason I'm saying this, and I love the fairies in this pack, the reason I'm saying this is the random being influenced by fairies happens a lot. I personally don't mind it, but it does happen a lot. Now, don't you think I forgot about the woohoo and the death that came with this pack? Of course, I tried both of them, and I honestly have to say the woohoo looks so fun. It is very similar to the animation that vampires have when they are bats and they woohoo. They kind of fly around in the air, and then suddenly there's a little heart shape and the heart shape beats, and then when they're done they kind of fall on top of each other and giggle, and I think that is the cutest thing ever. And the death type that we got with this pack has actually to do with fairies, because fairies can die when they get emotionally starved. That sounds very easy, but believe me, it is actually not. I tried to kill my sim and it took me about 3 business days to finish it. So here's the problem. My sim was a radiant fairy and she could just regenerate freely, and it was causing issues. I turned off autonomy for selected sim and I made her sleep the entire time because it just wouldn't work. She would just regenerate her emotional force when she was close to becoming a ravenous sim. So what I did was I made her do things, and I kind of like just super closely monitored her because I had other sims and I kind of like just clicked on them to do things, but I mostly focused on her so that I could kill her. Finally happened, and I had tried it before and I only killed her by accident and then revived her because I hadn't killed her with the starvation properly, and that's when it happened. It took me, I think, 2 hours in real life to really kill her. And that death type is really cool. They're kind of like clutching their chest and then falling down to the floor. It's really funny, but that's about it. What I have to say, I did really want to try crossback compatibility, but only thing that I have done was absorb Vlad's vampirism. That was really funny actually. And what I also did was I used the transform into fairy option. Once my sim became a radiant fairy, I went to the Goth family's house and transformed everyone into a fairy and then just left. And that was really fun. I'm sure there's other YouTubers and content creators who have talked about crossback compatibility, and I'm so sorry that I'm skipping that part, but I was so focused on getting through the gameplay of the actual pack that I didn't even think about including any other occult types, any other packs, so I'm very sorry about that, but surely someone else talked about it. Now, here are my final thoughts for this pack. This pack is great. I have been having so much fun. And one thing that I was afraid of in the beginning was that fairies might end up like mermaids because they came in an expansion pack, and that we would get this beautiful world that is magical and whimsical, and then fairies are just not as deep. But I couldn't have been more wrong. We got everything that I hoped for: a skill tree, in-depth lore, and super fun interactions. And this is not just a fairy pack, it is a nature pack, and it has a lot to do with nature, and you can do so much that surrounds nature. I didn't think that I would, but I really enjoyed having my Sims sleep on the ground and use the nature living skill. It made me want to play Rags to Riches and actually enjoy it. The same goes for the apothecary skill and the naturopath career. Even if I struggled a little bit, I actually enjoyed playing and actually having to grind for the aspiration. And yes, I do hate that we barely got any landscaping, even though this is a nature pack. Another thing that is really annoying me are the ailments, and just thinking about all of those things puts me in like a state of rage that it's really just ridiculous. And the balance is also a little bit annoying, but I can live with that because we can turn it off. We have the option if we want to, so that's okay. All in all, despite all the things that annoy me with this pack, like the tagging, the landscaping, or the lack of landscaping, the balance, I still would say buy it. Even if it's just because you're into fairies, because the fairies and the lore of the fairies are so in depth, and I had a lot of fun playing with this. And even if you're not into fairies, you can always just limit them to in a screen and play with the skills and all the interactions with the foraging and the sleeping in on the ground, natural living skill, or the apothecary career. They're a lot of fun too. And let's not forget the life houseplants, because I think that is a great addition into the game. There's a lot to do in this pack generally, and even if it's just for the build buy or the CAS items, I would totally say, even if it's just on sale, I would say wait for the sale if you're not really into it yet and buy it then, because the build buy and the CAS are so beautiful. And even if I am recommending this pack, I would still say wait. Wait for a sale, wait for it to be on CD keys, because I did buy it on CD keys. And if you don't, if you want to buy it now, pay the $40, that's absolutely okay. Just make sure at checkout to use a creator code. I don't have one. I would say use any of your favorite creators. Like I said, I don't have one, and that's okay. Use anyone who is in the EA partner program. It doesn't give you a discount, but it does give EA a little bit less money and supports your favorite creator. Alright, but that's everything I have for you, and I'm actually kind of glad. My script was almost 6,000 words long, and I am dying to stop yapping. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I hope I didn't bore you. I hope you like my opinions. I'm not an EA partner. I still love The Sims very much, and I will still keep trying to do things like this, reviews and content for you. I do appreciate you watching this, and thank you so much. I'm going to go now. I need some hot tea, and I will talk to you soon. Your little geek is going to log out now. Bye!